was?
1982 Ford Granada station wagon. Yes. Yeah.
Ford Granada, huh?
Ford Granada. It was beige. Quite something. Did
it have the seats that face backwards? Like in the back?
No.
Or was it? No.
No. So let me think about how to say this without giving away too much. So what would happen? You had the front seat, which was a bench seat, and then you had the back seat, which was also a bench seat. And behind the back seat, the bench seat, you just had flat area. It was like 4 or 5 feet of flat cargo space in the back of the station wagon. Okay. And it had a hatchback on it. And so what you could do is you could lay down the back seat. It would lay down completely flat, and then you'd have like a 7-foot sort of cargo space in the back of the station wagon. And when you are 17 and you drive that car and you have a girlfriend and you live in a rural area, what you do is you drive down like one of an old oil well or gas well access road, and you park down there and you put the back seat down and you've got a ready-made bed. And occasionally you get caught by a park ranger in a state park parking lot in the winter.
In the winter time. Wow.
In the winter, yeah. Well, look, I mean, that's when you go to the state park, right? Because in the winter you don't expect there to be visitors to the marina at the state park because the water's frozen. And so you go park at the marina, and then occasionally a park ranger comes up and knocks on your window while you're in the middle of en flagrante delicto, as they say.
Coitus?
You mean coitus?
What did you call it? Flagrante delicto?
Flagrante delicto, yes.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, so it's so that was fun. That was
Did you get cited?
I did not get cited. He knocks on the window, and I have literally no clothes on. None whatsoever. And neither does my girlfriend. Neither one of us have any clothes on at all. And I roll down the window about 2 inches. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? He goes, get out of here now. And I'm like, you got it. I throw my shorts on and I start driving. I don't even bother to put my clothes on. I drive a couple miles down the road, get out of the state park, and pull over and put my clothes back on.
And this was winter time, you said?
This was winter. Oh, yeah. This was like November, December, January, sometime in there. There was no snow on the ground, but it was definitely cold outside. The car had sort of steamed up, frosted over.
Well, I was going to say, was it like Jack and Rose in Titanic?
It kind of was, yeah. It kind of was. Yep.
She has her palm print on the glass. Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yep. Boy, I loved that car though, man. I loved having that option available to me because my girlfriend had a car at the same time too, and sometimes she would drive because our parents were weird about stuff like that, and my mom was like, "Well, she's got to drive sometimes too." I'm like, "Okay, whatever," And so she would drive, and her car was, I don't remember what it was, but it was a tiny little roller skate of a car. And so it was a lot more difficult logistically to engage in the activity we wanted to engage in that car. It made for a much more abbreviated sort of encounter, I would say.
Yeah. Well, it just gets uncomfortable. At a
right,
point,
right, exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it limits the sorts of activities you can do, and yeah, definitely gets to be uncomfortable over time. So. Yeah. All right. Well, I told that story. So yeah, Ryan and Marissa, Ryan and Teresa and Eddie, Julie versus Ryan, we've talked about a little bit. I mean, there's an argument to be made, and this is one of my theses that I didn't have time to flesh out as I was sort of in my final preparations for the podcast, and I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about this before right now, but basically every bad thing that happens on the OC can be traced back to Julie Cooper. One way or the other. I mean, it's easy to say. Yeah, I had a piece that I had written. There's at one point where Marissa says, "Oh, it's my fault," and I said you could basically say that about anything that happens on the OC. But the truth of it is that it actually gets traced back to her mom more so than Marissa. So a lot of the flack that Marissa gets is because of what her mom is doing. And Julie Cooper is one of the all-time classic terrible TV characters.
Yeah, I mean, she's just like a horrific parent, you know, a horrific mother, just everything about her. And then yeah, well, I was just gonna say, like, hot looks trumps a lot of things. People oversee a lot of flaws.
There's a moment where she says, you know, the note I have on her character is that she says her domain. She tells Jimmy because she was pissed that he lost all their money, and she's like, "Oh, my domain was the bedroom and the kitchen, and yours was, you know, the breadwinning or whatever." And I'm like, I don't buy it for a fucking minute. Like, there's no way you've cooked anything but boxed mac and cheese in the last 20 years. And by the way, huge starfish vibes. There's no way that she's that her domain was the bedroom.
I don't know, maybe. I mean, you know, like her background, you know, like she would have been like recruited by Epstein. Like, yes. You know, like she was like a, you know, not a privileged background growing up. And yeah, in fact, you know what? She did that as we like, she had that, she was being blackmailed for that adult film that she did. Do you remember that?
In the series.
In
the series, yeah. In season 2, I think that happens.
Yeah.
Because she's still married to Caleb when that happens, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And then she, yeah. And so I don't know. I mean, I can see that. I mean, how many? I know. I'm familiar with a lot of females, and I can see that coming from her.
But by the way, played absolutely brilliantly, flawlessly by Melinda Clarke.
Oh yeah,
Julie Cooper is one of the great all-time love to hate characters on TV, and Melinda Clarke played her note perfect. I will say she's absolutely fantastic. You know Melinda Clarke from the OC for sure, but maybe the original run of CSI. She played a dominatrix, Miss Heather, I think her name was on there, or Lady Heather, something like that.
I think I remember that. Yeah, it would have been around the same time, right?
It would have been a couple years later. Yeah. Couple of years later, like 2008, 2009, something like that. And then Days of Our Lives, you might remember her from that. She was on a big run of Days of Our Lives back in the early 90s or late 80s, I think. So she was on that show.
Yeah, can I just say that, like, her and Kirsten, they're perfectly cast, I think, as far as, like, you know, like, just the casting is perfect for both of them.
Yeah,
like,
I think so too.
So,
I think so too. Yeah, and that's Kelly Rowan, Kirsten Cohen. That's she was on. You probably haven't seen anything else that she's been on. It's like there's a TNT show called Perception that had like 30 episodes or something like that she was on. And she seems, from what I read in the book, she seems like an absolutely lovely person, Kelly Rowan does. And she's perfect for the show. She does a fantastic job. She's very young. Like, you know, it's interesting sort of the ages of some of these characters. She's only a few years older than the core 4. Like, she's like 30 years old playing a parent to these people who are 25.
That's right.
And married to a guy who's, you know, 50 or whatever. So it's definitely interesting.
Have you ever met anybody like I don't know, like over the course where you had serious like your friends maybe were serious MILFs, like their mothers were very like just very attractive?
Oh, like when I was in high school or whatever?
Yeah, high school or college or whatever. Yeah.
I don't think I did. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. No one sticks out in my memory as, you know, the hot mom of my friend group. Like, I don't think, I don't think we had one in my friend group. Like, they were all pretty mumsy.
Oh, really?
Like, no Kirsten Cohens. Definitely no Kirsten Cohens.
It's funny because like going to school at San Diego State.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a lot of kids who end up living in Orange County, going down to SH if there's like their second or third choice.
Sure, yeah, it's their safety school. I know. Yeah.
The safety school, yeah. In fact,
not anymore. It's not.
Yeah. Well, things have changed, right? But in fact, I was going to say that I think Rachel, she went to Grossmont community college way back in the day, like you know, before she was like in San Diego going to school down there back in the day. So
like
I don't know. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say my roommate, his mother was like unbelievable. Like I don't know. I'm just like, oh my God. It was her and his sister like came down to visit one time, and I'm like, oh my God, that's your mother. And I'm not even talking like, oh, you know, like I'm talking about like a LA like 9 or something like that.
What,
you know,
LA 9?
An LA 9, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Was he rich? Does dad have money?
His dad was he did like 3 professional fights. Like he was a boxer, but then he went into business. You know, he's doing like construction or contractor work. Yeah.
Okay. So yes.
But, yeah.
And juiced in. Wow.
And juiced in. Yeah.
That's cool.
But I'll never forget that. You know, like it's just like, okay. Unreal. Anyway.
Yeah. And you know what? I'd say aside from her hair, which is pretty rough in the first half of the season, she's got like there'll be a scene, and then in a different scene her hair will be a completely different color, and then in the next scene it'll be a completely different color. It was like this weird shade of orangey blonde that was not doing her many favors. But yeah, aside from that, she's of course gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And she's exactly the type of I was gonna say she's just like cast perfectly as far as like my experience as far as like women from Orange County. Yeah.
Like, so.
Well, and the certain kind of women from Orange County, the strivers, right? The type A women from Orange County, as opposed to the Julie Coopers of the world who just want to be taken care of. She's out there, you know, breadwinning. There's a reference early in the season. They talk about Peter Gallagher, Sandy Cohen's character. Sandy Cohen talks a bit about how the $100,000 that she loans to Jimmy is more than he makes in a year. And that tracks because even a senior PD in Orange County is probably only going to make at that point 75 grand a year. And
isn't that crazy?
That's absolutely nuts. And so she's got to be making a ridiculous amount of money because they live in a $4 million home in 2003. And he drives a BMW 7 Series and she drives a Range Rover. So, I mean, they've got, you know, $200,000 worth of cars sitting in the driveway on top of that. Yeah. So
on top of a house in Orange County with an ocean view, like it looks like it's on a hillside, right?
Yeah.
So
and private school, harbor school, you know, tuition for Seth and now Ryan. It's probably, it's probably $30,000 a year. That's what the Bishop School down here is. So.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It was probably 10 years ago. It's probably 50 now. So.
That's a lot of money flowing through there.
Can you imagine going $50,000 a year to go to high school? That's crazy.
I know. Isn't that nuts? I mean, well, but you know what? Like we were talking before we started recording. What that gives you is the network. You know, that's what that gets you. That gets you, you know, interactions with who, you know, like the elite.
Yep.
It's not necessarily how smart or merit. It's just the network. So
right place, right time.
Yep. Yep.
So, well, we mentioned Sandy. Let's talk about him a little bit. Peter Gallagher, you know him from the OC, maybe from Californication, maybe SVU. He was on several episodes of that. You probably know him from American Beauty. He's the king.
Yes, that's right. That floating trash bag.